User in your channel started recording.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brent McCoy.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Greg Hectus.
Yo, yo, yo.
Tony Groves.
Good evening, Mike.
Special guest, Stephen LouAllen.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, and I think Chris Scales will be coming. He's on his way home. All right, well, welcome everybody, and welcome special guest Stephen LouAllen. You've been part of Tifosi for a little while now, so you've been part of our team, and you finally made it to the podcast. Your schedule doesn't really mash up a lot of times, but you're able to join us at least for the beginning of this. So let's get to know you a little bit, and so go through our questions. What brought you to iRacing, and when, and how did you hear about it initially?
I actually haven't been a NASCAR fan for too long. A couple of years ago, my wife sponsors a team, so kind of started going to races with her. And the guy that she sponsors was talking to me about it, so I kind of looked into it. I'm just now a little over a year, and man, I'm in love with it.
All right, yeah. So 2017 was your first start, but looks like 2018 is really where you picked it up. You got all your wins, 9 so far. That's a winning percentage of 1.4% overall, and so not too bad as a beginner. But you got your A license, obviously, and you're growing your I rating.
Yeah, definitely. This last 8 months or 8 months or so have been a lot better than when I started last year.
All right, well, let's talk about how often are you racing, like every day, once a week, and that kind of thing, and what series are you running?
I try to run at least 3 races a week. It just depends. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Um, I run mainly. Was running mainly the A fixed until I joined Tifosi here, and now I've been running a lot of the opens.
Yep, a lot of A Open and NIS a little bit, and in fact, you got your first NIS win this week, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, Bristol. It was a fun race. I just kind of started in the back there, kind of kept the car clean. Got up to 16X, about 50 laps in, and kind of just stayed around the back and found myself up towards the front with about 60 left and led about the last 45.
Yeah, that is awesome, and obviously NIS is one of the most popular series on the service, so it's always something to win in that one. So we'll talk about Bristol later. Let's talk more about, do you do any leagues hosted, anything else like that?
I do host it every once in a while. I do race in the Simulation Stock Car Association League on usually on Thursday nights. This is my first year with them. Great league, bunch of great group of guys to run with every Thursday.
All right, cool. And let's talk your hardware. And what are you running with as far as wheel and pedals, computer? How many monitors? Third-party software.
As for computer, I just have a Jesus. As for my pedals, I have the Fanatec load cell pedals, the 2.5 wheelbase with the P1 wheel, the 1.5 shifter, and I got the R-Seat N1 chassis.
Wow, R seat. What do you think of the R seat? I haven't heard a lot about it.
Oh man, I love it. It's very sturdy. It's definitely an upgrade from what I started with. I also run an Oculus.
Oculus Rift, very good. And so with the Oculus, obviously third-party software, probably just TeamSpeak.
I do run Crew Chief and SimApps for the countdown, obviously, and the spotter for the Crew Chief and the Crew Chief part of it.
Yeah, that works really good for the people with the Oculus. So, all right,
Yeah,
very good.
my plan is to go to triples here probably in the next few months and have them both and just kind of work back and forth.
Yeah. It's interesting if if you think about if you have triples and a Oculus Rift, how hard is it to switch actually back and forth? I mean, you have to start unplugging cables and plugging other cables. And Greg, you have some experience with that.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like undoing when I
Well, you
was
have to
moving
change
stuff?
your Windows resolutions and everything, right?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Then I probably need to rethink that then.
Well, it's a process. I mean, it's not like you could just have everything plugged in. You would have to actually get up to your computer and unplug stuff and then reset your Windows settings. And
Wouldn't that new app INI stuff that we were talking about a couple weeks ago fix some of that though?
well, it would help reconfigure the iRacing portion of it, yes, but you'd still have a Windows configuration as far as the actual graphical, resolution settings.
Yeah.
But that is interesting. I always thought about, well, if I had both, how would I switch between them? And they really need a hardware solution for that. That would be cool if you could have a way to do that, or maybe if you had two video cards somehow, you could have everything plugged in and you flip some kind of software switch and it works.
That's a good way to look at it.
But anyway, let's keep going. Most memorable iRacing moment so far, Stevens, in your short career. What do you think?
I would say probably the Daytona race I won earlier this year in Bristol, probably the one I had last week, are probably about the same. I got pretty excited over both those.
All right, yeah, of course, that's a huge win. So, well, welcome to Tifosi. Appreciate you being with us on the podcast as well. Let's jump right into it. News. Brent McCoy, you're up first.
Ugh.
Alrighty, give me one
Sorry.
second here. I was actually going through.
Very first one.
Yeah. This is the incident limit one, correct?
No, the active members.
Okay. You go ahead and take that. For some reason, it is
All right.
different on my end.
So active members, I'll take this one. So Tyler Hudson posted up an interesting little tidbit saying we actually have 73,000 active members, more than there's ever been. And I had no idea it was really that high. I had this feeling in my head it was like 45,000, but now all of a sudden 73. Wow, that's a bigger number than I thought. So what'd you guys think? Did you have any impression about how many active members we have?
You don't really think about it being that many as there are that many active members, because you come on here on a daily basis and you only see a 1,000 or 1,500 to 2,000 on at a time, depending on what time of day you come on. So to hear that it's that high of an active membership count is pretty crazy, I think.
I mean, there's still, yeah, the thing is at nighttime, even when I'm practicing at night and gonna get off work, there's still probably 2,000 to 2,500 on consistently during the night. I mean, I don't know there's not a lot of racing going on that's official, so I don't know. A lot of those people are must be either in hostage sessions or, doing what I'm doing, practicing.
So what is iRacing's definition of active member? And I would guess it means they have an active membership. They can log in. They could race if they wanted to. They could go on the forums. But what you're saying, what you guys are saying, it's usually in the single digits of the thousands. 2 to 5,000 or something like that. But there's actually 73,000 that are actually paying an active membership month to month. And I think that's what the number means.
Well, and even if you saw LeMans the other day when everybody started getting ready to go up and go on that, it went from like 1,500 people on in the morning to like 6,000 real quickly.
Well, and the other thing it tells us is it's a small percentage of people that are enrolled in iRacing that are actually racing at any given moment. And you'd think it's a little higher now, but it's actually lower. There's a lot of lurkers probably.
I wonder how many of those people are the guys, like some of the ones on our team that are waiting for a tire model or some other change before they come back.
On hiatus, right. So we have 18 members on our team, but less than half of that are actually active, in my opinion. And the rest are on some kind of hiatus, for whatever reason. Pretty cool thought. Anyway, I had no idea it was 73,000, so that's pretty cool. All right, Brent, how about the next one?
Good deal. Yep, I got you here. So as we know, we had the 24 Hours of LeMans over this past weekend, and the very first race, there was a issue brought up with the incident count, and it was only topped out at 50. That was brought to attention by Patrick Wolf, and as you could assume, there was not a lot of happy people with it. Did any of you guys happen to jump on early on and notice anything?
Well, we weren't in that split, yeah.
I saw Mike posted it right away once it went up and he saw it.
Yeah, you guys ran a different event, the one that started later in the day.
Yeah, it was the one, that was the midnight one the day before. Remember we were talking and I thought I was confused. I thought it was noon and it was actually the midnight one, and then the 9 o'clock one is the one we did.
Yeah, and they fixed it for that one, apparently.
Yeah, for the second race, it says on here, they jumped on and got it fixed for the second one later on in the afternoon. But the first one, it was capped out at 50, and iRacing said they could not go in and fix it during the race.
Bummer. So let's stay on the topic of Le Mans. There's a couple links here, 2 down. Basically, posted up congratulations to Tifosi Racing. Podium finish. Congratulations, Greg.
Yeah, that was it was a fun race, and I know there was a lot of, I guess you guys were, there was chatter in it when people were following it, and we were posting every 6 hours or so on the Tifosi page how we were doing, and it was me, Mike Morley, and Phil Linden, and we all did, as best as we could. I mean, Phil was did a lot of his stints early on and won into the middle of the night. And since I work nights, I was pretty much in the middle of the night most of it, so I was staying up for then. And Mike had a stint in the middle of the night that got us we were fighting between 6th and 4th for probably 12 to 15 hours there, within that class. And the guys that we were racing against we were swapping back and forth every time we'd go in for driver swaps or pit stops and things like that. And then Mike and I, at one point, decided to go to a strategy where we didn't take tires for about 5 or 6 stints, which gave us a gap of about almost 2 minutes to 3 minutes on the next things before we did the next team before we did a driver swap. And we just, we stayed ahead, and then it looked like they were the last stint before the end of the race there, where we were in P3, and that they were chasing us down. They put their fastest driver in, and I was driving, and I was just trying to run some consistent lap times, and he was running me down, but I think he was trying to push me to run out of fuel because they were calculating that we were going to run out. But Mike and I put it to right where it would be enough, and then if I had to, I could turn down the fuel mixture and I would get us over the line. And they ran out of fuel, or they had to pit with 1 to go, so it was all for nothing for them anyways. But it was great racing. David K. Hall, who we had on last week, we were racing probably for a good 10 hours. So we're racing his team, I think it was the Martinsville Mafia or whatever it was, and we raced them for about 10 hours until they had a accident with a lap car, and the race was done.
Yeah, he messaged me about that. Yeah, how long was the longest run that you ran consecutively? Like, how many times you were doing consecutive stints on fuel?
Well, we tried to gap it where some of them, Mike and I wanted to do each one of us wanted a 3-hour stint somewhere there, just to try and get some gap in there. I couldn't start the morning, and I couldn't get into the afternoon, so I think Mike took the first 2 hours, then Phil did the next 2 hours, and then I came in finally in the afternoon, and then I think Mike did a 3-hour stint after that, and then I can't remember because the lap time. It's really hard to judge where you're pitting. Like you go 3 or 4 pit stops, maybe. Well, it's probably about 3 pit stops before the next guy would take over, and that's where near the end it kind of paid off, where Mike didn't take any tires on his 2.5-hour stint, and then I didn't take any tires at all when I got into the car to run the last stint. so we could get way ahead of that team and you know, just run some consistent laps. The tire fall off wasn't much there. You just had to be careful with it. And the way that that track rubbered up overnight was just unbelievable. If you got out of it, there was no grip, but if you were in the line, there was all kinds of grip.
Wow, that is something. The strategy with the no tires, I had no idea that you could do that and gain so much time, but I guess so because the tires are separate from the fuel and the driver change, right?
Yeah, it's all measured differently. Like you could be on pit road for, I think it's, I never did time what the differences were. We were just finding what we would have gap wise when we came out of pit road. And I think it was, I mean, I think the driver swaps 15 to 30 seconds and then fueling takes another 15 to 30 seconds. And I think the tires is like 15 seconds. So, you know, if you're saving 15 seconds a lap, it helps out over, you know, 5 or 6 pit stops.
I never even thought about all the rubber laid down on a 24-hour race. That's crazy.
Yeah,
We're probably just basically running on a rubber track by the end of it.
well, in the braking zones, you could see how dark it was getting by the end of the race. Like the thing that would have, like, you know, obviously we don't have the, you know, the day night there. That day night would have changed everything because Le Mans doesn't have a lighting system, right? So we would have been relying on headlights and everything for that race, and it would have been, you know, I bet you half the people that finished that race wouldn't have.
Right.
Soon.
Yeah. And then Phil was in the middle of the night. He was wanting us to crunch some numbers on if we turned down the fuel mixture, you know, if we could maybe do it in one last stop. Chris, you were burning up the calculator, right?
Oh no, it wasn't me. Yeah, I didn't have anything to do with Le Mans. That was all Phil, Mike, and it might have been Flowers. Flowers helped out a lot.
Yeah, Flowers was jumping in every once in a while there, given, you know, any knowledge that he had, I guess, from Daytona.
Yeah. Well, you guys, I'm very impressed with only 3 people. You pulled it off and a podium finish, and you had to earn it. I mean, it was full on racing for hours and hours. It wasn't like you were just riding around.
Well, and the fact that I purchased the car on Tuesday. My first laps in the car were Tuesday night. And I think Mike's was early last week. He only purchased it. And I don't know how long Phil's had the car. So, you know, we were racing I was racing all that week leading up to it just to get my license to run the race.
Greg, if you since we're on the Le Mans topic here, how did you guys feel with only having 3 drivers with those driver swaps? If you could do it again, would you have more? Would you have less? Because I know there were some teams that were doing 2 drivers. It looked like there were some doing 5 or 6. How would you do it again? And how would you guys feel as far as mentally after that?
I know Mike and I afterwards were talking because the hardest part with the 3 of us, with the way the pit stops was going out, was the fact that um, we didn't all equally the same amount of laps. I think I did 50 laps less than Phil, and I think I did 20 laps less than Mike. Like I was the least amount of laps because I was kind of filling in, and you know I don't mind because I was the one that was able to get those guys through the night. I mean, Phil ran a long stint in the nighttime because I gave him one extra pit stop because that's the other thing that we lost 2 separate incidents in that were Mike's system crashed probably on his second stint, which I think was around 5 or 6 that night, and his system crashed, and we had to get towed back from one of the furthest parts on the track, so we lost all that time. Phil crashed, his system crashed in the middle of the night. He lost internet connection. He had to reset and wait for the tow, and so I gave him an extra stint in the middle of the night. And you know we lost a bunch of time there. Like I mean, we had nothing for whoever was the 2 Porsches that were ahead of us in that race. We had nothing for those guys. Those guys were consistently running good times. We might have not been. I think we finished 11 laps down, if I remember correctly. I think we probably, you know, were like around the 9 lap mark if we didn't have those 2, you know, problems. I mean, I even streamed the whole race that whole night too. Like on my page, you know, you can watch the whole race, my stints plus on the out-car view of both Phil's and Mike's. You know, I had my stream up the whole night. I put a pretty good taxing on my system that night.
Yeah, and you guys were in the 9th split. And a guy named Rob Crouch put up stats on the forum about the race. 688 teams competed, which was just over 2,500 drivers. And overall, there were 14 different official races with an average strength of field of 27.26, and there were over 488,000 laps completed with 65,000 incidents, which was only 0.13 incident per lap, which was pretty low, I thought.
Yeah, there's the problem with that. I mean, Le Mans has like some good runoff areas, but then there's some areas that you think that you can just put your tire on and it ends up being a 1X. It's not totally accurate. Like, you know, some of the curbing that you want to just put your tire in to make the next turn, like, you know, if you're on your outside tire and you were turning into a right-hand turn and your left side tire touches this part of the track, it'll give you a 1X. So it adds up pretty quickly if you're not careful.
Right.
But
check out the stats page if you haven't seen it. Tifosi Racing is listed because of the podium finish, so congratulations, guys, and hell of a run. That is the best run, I believe, for this team overall in a 24-hour race, so good job. And that's the P3 overall, not just in class.
Well, that's what we were debating on because I think leading up to that, Mike and I were debating on if we wanted to field a GT car ourselves, and Mike's like, well, no, I want to, you know, be up on the top and see our names. So I said, yeah, we'll take the Audi then.
Right, there you go. That's why I always want to run the faster car. So, but check out the stats page. It's pretty cool. They have all kinds of stuff like cleanest driver, fastest laps of the race in each car, and who had them. Top 5 actually of fastest race laps. All kinds of neat stuff.
Do they have a breakdown of what cars were ran?
Yep, there's a whole bunch of stuff on there.
Oh yeah. So pretty crazy. Check out Rob Crouch on the forums. It's called the 24 Hours of Le Mans 2018 stats.
The other thing I was gonna say too, Mike, if anybody wants to go, you know, check out any of the stuff from what happened for us that week, you can visit. You know, I got my Twitch page, which is at twitch.tv, Frozen Cactus, Frozen with 2 O's and Cactus with 2 K's. Or you can get Mike. Mike was live streaming it on his twitch.tv at Moorley's Racing. So, you know, I'm on Twitch right now for the podcast as well. So if anybody wants to watch and see us live, I'm going to be going live every time I go on and anything. And I'm not just picking ovals now too. I'm going to be doing road course racing a lot now too, since I got my licenses up there.
Cool. All right, let's move on. I'm going to pick up these next 2 to get us back on track on the script here. So iRacing announced congratulations to the following drivers for being chosen at random to receive 100 iRacing credits for the 10 years of Solstice contest. And so they announced those 10 winners. Darn it, I wasn't part of the list.
I didn't know that. I didn't catch that they were actually doing that. I knew that they were doing the 10 grand.
Oh yeah, and then
like the random, and then like the $5 they're giving everybody or whatever. But I didn't realize they were doing $1,000 every week. You know, to 10 or 110 guys for each series. That's cool. So we have 3 more chances still.
That's right. Now the other news from iRacing about the contest is a reminder about Mazda Hot Lap Challenge. It's week 5 of the contest. Remember, this is the competition on time attack. It's going to be Gateway Motorsports Park, and basically, you can win as well a chance to get a 2019 Rolex 24 at Daytona trip to the race, VIP trip. And so the information is listed at iRacing.com/Mazda Hot Lap Challenge. And you'll see there a listing of who the earlier qualifiers are for round 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go get those prizes, guys. Lots of good stuff out there. Now, I didn't do the 10-year anniversary this week because I didn't own the car or the track. And I'm like, darn it, I'm not going to spend the money to do it, so I'm out.
I forgot last week to run the one that I actually had.
Yeah, I still need to run the one this week. I ran the last two. I'm definitely going to hit all four of them just in case.
Okay, Chris, you're next about the NASCAR new package they're talking about for next year.
Actually, I didn't really research this one much because I kind of thought you'd get this because I actually had you actually posted on this subject.
Yeah, basically, they're talking about the rumor that NASCAR is going to move to a restrictor plate package on the 1.5 2-mile tracks next year, like 16 to 19 different races, and it isn't in stone yet, but there's rumor they're going to do it, and so the discussion is what's going to happen in iRacing. Of course, we always follow what NASCAR does. So does this mean we're going to have a restrictor plate package for these 1.5 miles? What do you guys think? Is this good or bad?
Terrible, absolutely terrible.
Where's
bad. And
Go ahead.
It's a terrible. Yeah, like Chris said, terrible. It's a bad idea, and I really hope NASCAR doesn't do this. I mean, yeah, we had a lot of fun watching the All-Star race, but I mean, do we want a restrictor plate every single friggin' week? I know I don't want to watch it on TV, and I definitely don't want to race it on the sim. So I really hope they don't go with this.
Brent, was it me and you that were going at it for a while there, or was it Bobby?
Uh,
I think it was Bob. I think
Probably Bobby.
it was probably Bobby and me actually that we were going at it on Messenger about the tapered spacer and the truck series.
yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of tracks that they could do it. Like I said, the All Star race was kind of cool. I don't know. I bet just put it on any more than just 1.5 miles. That sounds like it's just a terrible idea. That's not racing. Racing is the fastest car going as fast as they can. Everybody going as fast as they can. Not putting governors on them basically, and just so everybody can run side by side. That's not racing. That's coming from a guy that does pretty well on the plate races, so I would probably do better if iRacing brought it. But hopefully, even if NASCAR does it, I don't think iRacing will, because I think most of us don't want it, and I think we could convince them not to make those changes.
Now, I was gonna say too, are any of you obviously guys have run the truck series at Michigan, and how if you can't get away from the guy behind you and he drafts you down the straightaway in those trucks, it's really frustrating to always not get away from it. Imagine doing that for full races and not being able to get away from people, no matter if you're better or not. That's where I'm looking at it. Like I just know I always can get back to Michigan when you're in a truck series. If you don't have like a really good setup to really pull away and lose that draft, if they can draft you down the straightaway, you're never gonna get away.
Well, I could see an upside to all this, and this would be like sim side and like regular NASCAR side. I mean, you could save a whole ton of money because you might as well just race at one track and do it 36 times. We could do the same thing in the sim because I really think it would be. That's exactly what it is. It's just Daytona every week. What the hell?
If they were smart enough, they'd ask them to try it out in the sim first. Maybe put it all together and get all the NASCAR drivers to try it in the sim.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I agree. I mean, NASCAR, if they do this, I think it's a bad idea, just like everybody else, including the NASCAR drivers. I haven't seen anybody come out in favor of this, really. Everybody seems to be negative towards it. So I don't know if it'll actually happen or not, but if it does, I imagine it would eventually come to iRacing. That is the pattern. So I was asking on the forum post, how quick would it come? In the past, when NASCAR's made a change, like from Gen 5 to Gen 6, or there's some kind of significant aero change or horsepower change, it's usually like 6 months, and then we have it. And so if this happens starting next year at Daytona, I would expect next summer we'll be racing it that way. Would it be good for me? Probably, because I'm a good restrictor plate guy, but I don't think it's good for the sport overall of racing. I really think they should go against it. I think it's better that the cars are hard to drive. Let's take the splitter off the car. Leave the car alone, except take the freaking splitter off of it.
And all the drivers, teams, everybody's been saying that for years. But that and less mile and a half gets back to short tracks. I mean,
Less downforce, right?
yeah, it seems like they know what the fix is. Yeah, put our valence back in, get rid of the stupid splitter. Yeah, I mean,
Make them lift in the corners, so they have to lift, they have to drive it in, they have to dive bomb, they have to manage the throttle coming up. I mean, that's racing.
So they would go back to what they looked like back in the early 90s then with the front ends and the early
yeah, that's like
2000s.
yeah, basically that's all there is to it. Just take the splitter off and just put the bumper back on it. So, yeah, the valence just a sheet metal bumper.
All right, let's keep moving. Tony, schedule is out.
Yeah, I'm still here. I got a little wrapped up in that last one. Yeah, the season 4 schedule is out, and they're in a new series, the Ferrari GT3 Challenge, 15-minute fixed setup races. So I imagine those would run about every half hour.
Yeah, if they only last 15 minutes, wow.
Yeah. And
Do we need another? So I saw this and I'm like, do we need another road racing series? Really? I mean, there's like a.
Well, I gotta. Well, never mind. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
there's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Mike. I was just gonna say there's another quick thing there that Tyler posted up, that the Grand Prix series will be fixed setup for season 4 as well.
F1. Wow, that's interesting. McLaren F1. So fixed for the Formula One. I mean, will that drive participation? I think it. One of our teammates, Mike, was saying, "Oh, well, maybe I might be interested in this now, since you know."
Both Mike and I are going to start running that.
Cool. You have the car?
Yeah, I have the car, and I got my new rim should be here Monday afternoon, so I can use that for formula racing.
All right.
Oh, a few more things. NASCAR Monster Energy Chevrolet Camaro will replace the Chevrolet SS in all existing series. Kokomo is a new track, and Centripetal Circuit is a placeholder on the schedule until the track is released. Atlanta will have 2 new rallycross configurations, and Atlanta Legends Oval and Atlanta Road Course are placeholders until the tracks are released. So that'll be coming.
Coming. Okay. Yeah, I was confused by that. That'll be cool to have another rallycross track.
Yeah, I really got to get into more rallycross. I mean, I'm absolutely terrible, and you've been witness to that, Mike. I really like the walls and being upside down, but I have a lot of fun. I just don't run them nearly enough as I should.
Well, the participation is really low. I mean, I was looking this week to run a couple, and there was like 1, 2 people. It doesn't even look fun when there's only that many people. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
Well, yeah, there's another downside to that yeah, nobody's racing it, but why is nobody racing it? I mean, it's cool. You get to jump a friggin' car.
It's probably the
Right.
learning curve.
I have a lot of fun with it, and you remember they took away the reason of we had the before was, oh, it'll mess up my oval rating, my pavement rating. Well, now you have a separate rating, so you don't have to worry about losing anything. And so I'm not afraid to run it, but I want to have participation. I want to run a full grid. I think AI is going to be the answer to that. We can just have AI races. And maybe they can have a thing where they just fill in with AI. Maybe you only have 2 real people, and then everybody else is AI.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see that series come around more. I'm not, I'd like to talk big and say that I'd race it more. I really don't know if I would, but there's a spot deep down that really wants to race it more. My time is the issue.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't want to see the series go away. I enjoy it every time I race them, but I'm part of the problem. I don't race them very often.
I haven't looked. Maybe, you know what, when I'm up in the middle of the night, I'm going to check to see what participation's like in the middle of the night and see if it's any different at, late times of night.
I think it's lower.
You just never know with because the European side of the world, there's some participation in a lot of the road
Roadside,
there's
yeah.
some roadside racing that's still got a lot of participation. Like last week when I was trying to get my my license up, I was able to run road racing in the middle of the night and have full splits. There's some like 3 or 4 splits going at sometimes in the middle of the night, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning here.
Wow. All right, let's keep moving. Brent, you're up next.
Alrighty, we're gonna do the NIS playoffs, correct?
Yeah.
All right, Matt Busa went and put out a post here dictating or showing the playoff standings for the top split of the NIS fixed series so far. He said all he has done is the NIS. He's currently working on the open schedule, but it is going to be the way the playoff works, it's going to be Las Vegas, Richmond, Charlotte for the first round of 16, and then Dover and Talladega for 12, Martinsville, Texas, and Phoenix for 8, and then Homestead for your final 4. He said he's been tracking all of these throughout the entire year, and he's got a good group of drivers in here. Just give you some guests. Michael Guest. Who else? We got Logan Clampett, Parker Alexander, just to name a few that are in here. Also, Sergio Abella is also in there. So this should be interesting going down the stretch, especially these final several races, to see how this all plays out. I know all these drivers are extremely talented.
Yeah, now this isn't official. This is a make-believe as if we had a playoff like NASCAR has with elimination style. Every 3 races people are cut. And so Matt is just really good with numbers and math and Excel. And so he's basically figured out, if you take the top standings of NIS fixed and you're in the top 30 and you've had a win, that's what makes you eligible for this little exercise he's going through. And obviously I'm not on the list because I'm not top split, but it is interesting that he's able to do this. I think it works because he is doing the top split. It would be impossible to do like the second or third split because people come in and out of that, So it's kind of a neat to watch, and we'll be watching this throughout the playoffs and see who wins it at the end. It'll be interesting to see if that person is different than who wins the actual points in the NIS fixed. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, Chris, you're next.
Yeah, right along those same lines. The NASCAR Ignite Series started their playoffs, and their real playoffs, not their made-up ones this week.
Last night.
Yep, last night at New Smyrna. I actually didn't catch the results.
Garrett Lowe, I believe, was his name.
He won the race, so he's going to Homestead then for sure.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Now they announced or they clarified exactly what the champion wins.
Yeah, pretty awesome too. So this is the list of what they'll bring home: a $10,000 scholarship. This will be put towards starting or furthering winners' racing aspirations.
Wow.
A one-on-one driver
Drivers.
instructional with Max Pappas. This will also include one of his MPI steering wheels. An introduction to NASCAR racing development personnel. A sim seat, simulation cockpit and seat with monitor stands. A Martinsville Speedway VIP experience. A NASCAR racing experience voucher, and a VIP iRacing account. That's awesome. So what's a VIP iRacing account,
Free?
by the way?
I would guess it means free.
Yeah, I guess it's paid. It would probably be paid for.
Like
Almost
all
like a
content.
sponsor, yeah. That's awesome.
I like it's nice that the Max Pappas is getting involved too.
Yes,
Yeah, how
that is
cool
a
would that
nice.
be?
And you get introduced to all the people in NASCAR. You get to go to a NASCAR race at Martinsville. Full VIP.
And you get a Max Pappas wheel, you get a SimSeat Solutions cockpit, and monitor stand.
Wow.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good help. Plus the $10 scholarship. That's a good prize. That's a nice way of iRacing promoting people to go to school too.
Do you know if they're doing anything for like some of the other people? Like, is this all like one big winner, or do you know if any of the other participants get anything?
I don't think they do. I haven't heard anything else about that. Just the winner.
Well, what does second place get in NASCAR when they win the championship?
They
Still
get
some
some
money.
cash. Yeah, you still
They
got
get money, but that's
Yeah,
it.
they haven't publicized anything like that at all, but
I would think they would. Probably some iRacing credits or something, at least you would think.
A ham sandwich.
Yeah, that'd be great. Ham sandwiches are great.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So NASCAR is, this is their baby. It's the kids series. They're doing a good job with it. They got a nice prize package. I think it's appropriate considering.
I think the $10,000 scholarship thing is really nice for that to add to it. They could have just done all kinds of racing stuff and that in general, but putting the $10,000 scholarship helps out.
Yeah. All right, next up, I will take is a petition to change the gear ratio at Darlington. It is an off week. Darlington is next week in the NIS series, and apparently everybody's on the chip. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, they're on the chip early, too. At least halfway down the backstretch, they're coming on. I guess I just read there, Tyler, he said can't change the gear ratio, but he changed the time of day to the afternoon from late afternoon. So I'm sure you're still going to be on the chip early on, but hopefully later on in the run, you'll back off sooner.
So what he's
Well-
saying is he just made it slipperier, so you don't get as much traction coming out of the corners.
Yep. And if you think about it, it's only for a few laps. As soon as the tires start falling off, it's no longer a problem.
I just hate that the fix is going to be, instead of just allowing them to unclick, because you should be able to change rear end gears. They do that in NASCAR, and you can't for some reason on here.
I don't know what the reasoning is, but a lot of people were asking for it. Some people are saying, it's no big deal, so I'm not sure myself. It always bugs me, though, if it is in the rev limiter. I'm like, man, we got to change that gear.
You want it to hit it at the end of the straightaway right when you're about to lift. You don't want it to be hitting it mid straightaway.
All right.
Yeah, and they were hitting it pretty early, at least going down the backstretch. They some guys are saying now that for about 10 laps, and then it backs off with this change.
All right, Tony, I think you're next. Got a birthday.
Yes, we have a birthday, and actually, I remember talking about this last year.
That means you're a veteran of the podcast now.
Oh no! You're gonna have higher expectations. Can't have that. Yeah, so we have, and I believe this is the oldest iRacer on the sim. Just turned 91. And Paul D. Smith posted up to say happy birthday to his dad Monty. And he's still racing. He's doing, I guess he hangs out mostly doing the hosted races, but man, 91 years old and still racing. How cool is that?
That is awesome. And I remember talking about this guy every year on the podcast. It's been several years we've actually have talked about his birthday. Thanks to his son, Paul D. Smith, who actually posts up about his dad in the forums. But he's still active. That's pretty cool. And actually driving, not just an active account. So 91. I hope I'm also 91 and driving. That's cool.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, no doubt. And, and I'm sure Paul's going to continue doing this on a yearly basis. Because, this is fun to talk about. This is great.
All right, cool. Greg, you're next.
Well, I should have known. Okay, so I'm just opening the link here, and I knew exactly who posted it as soon as I saw what the title was. Our buddy Hammer has been at it again with his polls. Should iRacing NIS series have DQs? And I guess he posted, he's looking for 400 votes. If there's a 2-to-1 majority to remove it, I'll send the request by email. If you want to keep it and something else done, fine. Just give your opinion on it. Now, we've had a bunch of discussions over the last. This always comes up, Martinsville, Richmond, Bristol, like any of those tracks. Like, I have a feeling we're gonna have that same topic probably at Indianapolis in a week or so times, and Darlington too, because of the fact of the tracks they're at. Because I know Darlington, you're gonna be scraping up against the wall, and it's gonna be hard to pass people without getting contact. And Indianapolis is going to be the same way, but Indianapolis is the full race. So, you know, it's going to be a long race, and I know those races take a while with a lot of caution laps. So, you know, this is a big discussion about having incidents in the NIS series. What do you guys think?
I vote
Good.
for, yeah, keep the
Tony.
DQ. I totally vote for it. No, don't like it, especially when it happens to me. I absolutely hate it. But I mean, how many times are you gonna hit the wall before your car's wrecked? You know, that kind of thing. I don't think you should remove it.
Yeah, I voted no on this when I saw it. I put in my vote of no. We need to keep the DQ system, even though I personally got DQ'd out 2 or 3 times here at Bristol. Yeah, I don't think it needs to go away. I think we should be patient and wait for the new damage model, which might make it where these incidents might not happen as easily, and that might be a good, alternative. But the voting is pretty close, so I don't think there's a majority here that are worried about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to keep it there, and just like you said, I think the damage model this is more of the problem than the incident limit. You know, these ghost 4Xs and stuff. And I'll talk a little bit more about that too when we get into the league results, because I had some of that happen to me this week.
Yep. But yeah, Hammer is just trying to figure out what does the community really want, or what do they think about this. So
I just think that we're trying to solve a problem, but I think the other problem here is we compare every track as the same. If we call it short track racing, then obviously it's not the same as super speed racing, and it's not the same as mile-and-a-half racing and 2 mile racing. So why does it have the same incident limit? That's the problem that should be changed, right? Like, it's not the fact that why do we have 22 incidents for Bristol, and then we have 22 incidents for, a place like, I ran Michigan the one week and had no incidents. They shouldn't be considered the same. Michigan could be lower, and Bristol could be a higher incident rating. It's only affecting your SR. So, but they need to make the penalty for incidents stiffer. So, and this is where, like even last week where I went and got I've gone from a C road racing license to almost I'll be an A by the end of the night, in less than a week. Like, that's the problem, is it's too easy to keep your safety rating up and keep a license. If you're at risk of losing a license, maybe people race different.
yeah. Well, it's interesting for sure. We'll have to see how the new damage model changes. Okay, I'm going next. We got an actual race car driver posted up, hey, join me for some iRacing fun at Suzuka. I got a practice, qualifying, and race up and hosted. Just look for my name. The guy is called Christopher Mize, M-I-E-S, and he is basically an Audi driver over in Europe. And if you were on hosted, you had the opportunity to run with him at Suzuka. Pretty cool when you get these real race car drivers on iRacing, and you have a chance to get in there and rub knuckles with them.
It's good to see them starting to do this. This is how you can connect with your fans on a different level too.
Yeah, he puts it up on his Twitter. Hey guys, fans, come race with me. I think it's good for iRacing too when you get the mainstream kind of drivers throughout the motorsports world, especially in Europe. Hey, they're using iRacing too. It's going to make it more of a worldwide product. It's going to have more of an impact to get out there to see more eyeballs.
Sorry, everybody. Didn't mean to
Okay.
yawn there.
I have no idea who's next, so Brent, you're next. Hardware, software.
All right. We got the new Star VR headset, which is a new headset out on the market. Pretty impressive if you're just looking to get into the to the VR aspect of iRacing. Thing about it though is you got to have a pretty impressive system to run this, from what I've read. Currently, it's a 90 hertz refresh rate, 210 degrees frame of view horizontal, and 130 vertical. If you're curious to know what type of graphics card you're going to need for this. I was just doing some quick research, and the lowest it's saying that minimum system requirements is a GeForce 1080. So you're going to have to fork out some cash if you don't have that graphics card yet with this headset. But it's a very sharp looking headset. I will say that. What do you guys think?
It has
Wow.
an interesting design.
Yeah, but will it work in iRacing? That's another thing too. It seems like they kind of have. I mean, it seems like the Oculus is really the only one that works without issues now. I think something like the Sony and some of the other ones have some issues. It seems like this. I don't know. I think I'd stick with Oculus, but it sure does look cool.
One of the little videos they have on the page, it shows it's Project Cars 2. So we know it works with them.
Yeah, but pretty much anything will work with just a video game. Basically, it seems like iRacing is a little bit more picky.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good question. Who knows? From what I know, this is a brand new product that's just been announced. So
The more they have out there, though, the more some of these other ones will get driven down, get in the hands of people. It's awesome seeing more people get into that market.
it looks big and heavy. I mean, that's my impression of it. But with all the hardware in it and the FOV that's so wide, I mean, man, it really, just looking at the specs that you mentioned, Brent, it sounds like it might be the next generation of VR.
Yeah, I'd be really. I know I just went to triples, but I'd be really interested to see how this works. 'Cause part of my reason why I didn't go to VR before is because you heard those complaints and stuff. And with this new one, I'd be really interested to see what it's going to be like. I haven't seen a pricing on this yet. Have you guys?
Nope.
Yep, same here now.
There's nothing on the page. I went looking for it earlier, looking for a price, but I couldn't find one. But I think it's that new. I mean, I don't know if they actually have a product. This could be all CAD design, computer graphic generated on this page. I have no idea. Now the website is starvr.com, so it's pretty easy to find. StarVR. Okay, let's keep moving. Chris, what's next?
Next, it looks like NVIDIA finally announced their new graphics cards this week. I'm not all that impressed with them, honestly. Price is actually a little bit cheaper than I expected, though, so they're not too bad. So they have the GeForce RTX 2080 Ti. That one's going to run you about $1,200. The RTX 2080 is about $800, and the RTX 2070 is around $600.
600.
Yeah, so yeah, they're definitely not as expensive as I thought they were going to be, but I'm not sold on the performance of these things for the extra money, particularly in iRacing, because that's really all I want to use it for. But yeah, I'm hoping that it just drives down the price of some of the older cards, which it may. And then we had Jonathan Wall, one of our teammates, said that he had heard today that NVIDIA had actually ramped up production of their cards during all the
That's why I read it.
data mining garbage,
That's right,
and
right.
now they have a bit of a surplus. So if you're in the market for a card and you're not going to buy one of these brand new shiny ones, hopefully you'll see some prices come down here soon.
Yep. Now, what's interesting too is the new code is RTX, okay? And why is it not GTX? Well, they went to RTX because of a new technology called ray tracing. And so these new cards have a different technology called this ray tracing. I've been trying to learn about it. I haven't learned a lot about it yet, but it is completely different than what the previous graphic cards used as far as how these things work. And so I don't know much more than that, but I am learning about it and hope to have more information on future podcasts. But the big question is, like you said, how does this new technology work with iRacing? I think that's still an unknown too. Now, you can pre-order now on newegg.com. I saw this earlier today. I saw an advertisement they're trying to get me to buy. But, they're going to offer it in the other third-party versions. It'll be a little bit cheaper when you buy off-brand like that. The prices that Chris read out were the Founder Edition prices. right. So what do you guys think? I mean, if I was building a system right now, what do you do? Like John Wall said, do you wait because they're going to have these other older cards, you know, at a more inexpensive price point, or do you want to get this latest and greatest new technology?
I'd wait
I've
for.
been
I wouldn't wait for the new stuff. I would, if they drop those prices ridiculously like they should for the 1080s, I would jump on that for a while. They're more than what you need for right now, and there's no need to spend double the amount of money just because it's you know a couple years newer.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of a 1070 or 1080 since last Christmas. That's pretty much when the data mine garbage blew up and they got crazy expensive. So I think I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer and then pick up one of the older ones. Yeah, just like Greg said, that's all you need for iRacing, and that's what I'm doing. I can pick up a 1080 and be just fine for iRacing and VR. I don't need to spend extra money on one of these newer cards.
Now, the top of the line RTX 2080, it does say on the Engadget.com article that with those kind of specs, it's a huge boost over the current GTX 1080 and should even outperform the GTX 1080 Ti. And so there is a performance boost there, but you're looking at that $1,200 as a price point.
Yeah, you can get I'm sure in the next probably 2 to 3 months, you probably can get a 1080 Ti. Probably will be around the $400 mark.
Well, that'll be the one
Don't
to
say
get.
that. Jeez. Considering I just had to cut off my left arm to get one.
If you're looking at the way that because I saw a bunch of them being posted today already, you know, for used ones. So if you know the used ones start dropping the price, you know, you're going to be able to find a newer one. If the market's as diluted as it's going to be, you could probably get a good deal on one.
Yeah, that's really what I'm hoping on is just somebody, there's some crazy dude out there who goes and gets his upgrade and wants to get rid of his 1080, and I will be there to snatch that up.
Well, and then you also got, you know, we're coming into the best time of the year too for deals coming up. You got Black Fridays coming and all that too. So there's going to be some deals.
Yeah, I got my vote on for oversaturation. Saturate the hell out of this market. Let's get those prices down.
Yes.
'Cause
Right.
Tony needs a new graphics card.
All right, Greg, you're next.
The next one, we're talking about the rim, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I was just looking at this because I know Mike was, you know, this is a lot, can work for the Logitech and Thrustmaster, I guess, from what I'm just quickly reading here. Mike Morley would probably be interested in this for his system because he'd like to have a road racing rim for his stuff. So it's a GT rim add-on carbon with clutch. So like I was saying, it works for the Logitech and Thrustmaster wheels. I guess it's the Thrustmaster OSW wheel. It's a pretty nice looking setup here. It's got a display screen. I'm just counting the buttons. It's got like 6 buttons plus 2 knobs that you can switch. It looks like toggles of one has 4 settings and one has 12 settings. So it looks like you can get some pretty good button combinations there.
It's really nice. It's got some really good grip, steering wheel grip, on the sides, but then carbon fiber everywhere else. Like you said, the nice display as well. A really nice looking product and a good price too. 549 euros. Which we've seen wheels like this go for double that easily.
Yeah, like I was saying, I just purchased the McLaren GT Fanatic rim that'll be here Monday, and I want to see how that's going to compete with all of what it's got.
Well, that's a
User
real good value
disconnected from
too.
the channel.
And that's similar to what this one is. So, I mean, how much was that one again? The Fanatec?
It's I think it's 160. If I remember correctly, it's 169.
Yeah.
American.
So yeah, if you're in Europe, this might be an option for you. Check it out. Their website is called 3drap.it. It's 3drap.it. And this is a project where 2 companies have come together to build this thing. So,
Can I take the next one too, Mike?
yes, please.
Because I sent this to Mike when we were joking. The reason I sent this to Mike I put this on the messenger. Mike and I were talking in the one room because we were watching the Le Mans race, and it looked like one of the guys was using one of these to run the race the way he was driving down the straightaways. So that's why I posted this. It just happened to come across it right when we were watching a guy in one of the races, but it looks like a pretty good gadget. So what it is it's for your Xbox controller. You can make it into a racing wheel with this 3D print upgrade. So it looks like is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and put them together, and well, it's 5 pieces and a bearing, and you put them together, and you can it activates the it sits on the front of your Xbox controller, and you can make it. It's like having a steering wheel in the center of the controller, so that, and it uses an arm to control the left Joy-Con to steer the car. It actually looks pretty. You
It
can
looks
make
like
that
it
pretty
would be
smooth.
accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks
smooth and accurate.
I was actually going to ask Mike Morley he has a 3D printer to try and print it, and I wanted to test it out and see how it actually is, if he can do it.
Yeah, I don't know why there hasn't been a retail version of this thing come out. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be
Very clever.
those aftermarket companies, right? That just, I'm really surprised that they've never, in the market for Xbox and PlayStation, when they have those off brands that make those turbo controllers. They never did make one that would have a wheel or anything part of in the controller for racing, a little tiny knob that you can turn or something like that. They never did make any controller like that. They've all, when you've got a controller, you're just using the analog stick or the thumbsticks.
It's clever. It looks like it could be printed up for just a few cents, like $1 or something. It's just a few small pieces of plastic, but it's very clever how it's designed.
Yeah, Control Freak could make these things and probably sell them for $20, and they probably will at some point.
All right, Tony, you're next.
Crap. I got caught looking at that thing, and I didn't want to say anything because I think it's really stupid, but
You're gonna get caught looking at this one too, Tony, and you're gonna like this one.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I did see this. So what this is, it's a helmet VR. So it's like a full out
video
helmet, like a racing helmet. And I can't look at this video. It's not working for me.
Yeah, the VR is installed inside the helmet. It's like part of the helmet.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, the idea is cool, and you if you're going for immersion, well, this will give you that immersion feeling for sure. The only thing that I could see about this, and I'm not a guy that sweats a whole lot, but that'd be hotter than hell.
I could never do it. It'd be way too hot.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea, but I don't know why you'd ever want to do it to yourself. I mean, the VR is going to be hot enough. Why you want to put on a whole helmet is beyond me.
Now you're gonna have to have
I'll tell you why, because I think if you look into it more, for $2,400 you get the helmet, plus it comes, I think, with a mini chassis rig, if I'm not mistaken. After looking through their website further.
Wow, $2,400.
Man, I'd hope they'd offer a ventilation system similar to the actual NASCAR drivers have that hook, big hose. Yeah, and now you're talking, right?
Right. Now that would be different. I would, if you had the cold air blowing on the back of your neck or head or something.
I think that'd be easy to do. If they don't have it, I'm be surprised if they don't add it. Might have some fans built in there. You can't see. I would possibly.
Well, pretty interesting idea. We've seen this before on the podcast, but this is a much sleeker version of it. I mean, when you first look at the helmet, you don't really see the goggles until you really look at it, because it really does fit inside the helmet kind of look. All right, Brent, you're next.
All right, so this is the Podium DD1 auction, I believe, for their Fanatec. Is it the wheel and wheelbase? I'm not really
it's
positive
new
on
direct drive
it's just
wheels.
the base though.
Okay, just the base. So they're about to start up the auction as far as pricing and shipping some more out. Do any of you guys have this? Have you guys gone through these guys?
It's
Not this wheel.
it's I run Fanatec, but this it was started on Monday. It was supposed to go up.
Yeah, it's already over. The auction's over, and there were some software problems apparently. He said there was a problem with the software code, but apparently, you know, people auction. You know, they went through the auction and they bid on it. These wheels, and they didn't pay. Nobody paid more than the retail price, but apparently they got really close to the retail price, like within $50 or something. And so, you know, some people got their wheels, some other people weren't able to bid because some of the software issues, and there's a thread about it. But I don't think I would ever participate in the auction like this. It's kind of weird for me.
Yeah, on Fanatec's website right now, they've got it listed for $1,000, $999.95.
So anyway, if you wanted to be on the first round of that product, you missed it. All right, Chris, you're next.
Yeah, Mike, I pulled this one up. This the original post on this is just so ridiculously huge. You know, the gist of this. I have a Netgear router, so if they're having problems with Netgear routers, I'd like to know what it is, but I can't dig through the
Yeah, so
original post.
basically, you know, some of the guys from iRacing are saying that here recently, like this week, Netgear routers seem to be problematic, at least certain models. Nick has been working with one that definitely has connectivity issues for the sim. And so they actually have a Netgear router that they're testing with the sim and a particular model, and it actually doesn't, it, you know, keeps dropping. I think Nick was saying every 3 minutes or something. Once you're on the sim for 3 minutes, it'll drop the connection. And they're trying to figure it out, but basically it's a warning of don't use Netgear unless you have to, I guess.
I don't know. I've always used Netgear and still using it, and I haven't had any problems.
Well, that's it for the U.S. consumer. There's not a lot of choices. You walk into a regular electronics store like a Best Buy, that's all they sell is Netgear.
Yeah, and for gaming in particular, I've loved having their routers. Their equipment's awesome for gaming. I actually had to get it because my wife and I both game, and just a regular router has issues with routing the IP of the two Xboxes in the same house. So yeah, their stuff works great for me.
So iRacing is troubleshooting the issue. They're working with the Netgear R7900 and the R8000 specifically, and trying to figure out what to do about it. So anyway, more to come. All right, Greg, you're next.
Oop, caught me sleeping here. I was looking up something else here. Where are we on here?
This is that crazy simulator.
Yeah, I still can't get. I don't know if he'll be able to get that to pull up because
Let
I
me
still
see if it
couldn't
comes
on
up.
here
Hold
either.
on.
I sent you a link in the
Yeah,
chat.
it's not coming up on this link here, but I saw the actual video and we were having a nice conversation on our messenger about it. That is one ridiculous, but I think it's more designed for flight simulators though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
it's air
running a
combat.
flight sim.
But that would be an interesting simulation for you know, if you got up and crashed and flown around and stuff like that, you would I wonder what would happen.
Yeah, Brent, I think you said it made you sick just watching the video.
I'm getting sick just thinking about it.
Yeah, and for like a listener that's trying to imagine what we're talking about, it's basically a chassis that could spin in every direction as you can possibly think of, just like a plane. I was telling Mike in the chat that this looks awesome, but I would hope that it would have like a no flip feature. So I would, if you're if you're racing in iRacing and you don't feel like going upside down, you wouldn't have to.
Listen, man, you want the real thing, okay?
Yeah, immersion.
This sim is so cool because it moves every single direction, every single way that's possibly it could move, you could move, if you can imagine that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what happens. Like, was it you, Brett? I can't remember who it was that had to flip the car. Like,
Yep.
you get one of those iRacing flips. It's like 100 feet into the ground. Then what's this thing do?
Yeah, you get that with the that VR headset or that
Oh, good
VR helmet we had earlier. That's perfect. Let's go.
You gotta make sure your whole. Like I was gonna say with VR, because they have the wires attached. You'd have to make sure that everything's on the rig then, because if that's flipping upside down, you're gonna get tangled.
Yeah, all the hardware would have to be on the thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I do want to see this in iRacing. I want to see how it would work. So if anyone's got a video, shoot us a
Well,
message.
I mean, how would it feel like if you're making a right turn, and then you make a left turn, and the thing spins when you make the turn because it can? I mean, is it going to really feel disorienting, or is it going to feel normal or real? I don't know.
Could you imagine going like a place like, Road America is very hilly, like Mid Ohio, like those those road courses that are really hilly. You'd be up and down.
It's crazy, crazy sim. Yeah, I'd love to see an iRacing version of that.
I absolutely love everything about this simulator. It's probably one of my most favorite simulators. Like, my lord, could you imagine, like, okay, we can step out of the racing part and just do a flight sim, and you're doing barrel rolls, and you're in a dogfight with somebody, and you're spinning around getting all crazy. It's like you got a roller coaster right in your own house. It's so freaking cool.
Did you see if there's a price for this, Mike, or is this thing for sale, or is this something that some guy put together?
This is something I found on Facebook. Yeah, and it's from Brazil, I believe, or something.
Well, to coin, many memes thrown about the interwebs, shut up and take my money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could really make a racing sim out of that somehow, I'm sure. All right, let's jump into results. Let's talk Bristol. Brent,
Here we go.
You raced Thursday night, P28.
Terrible.
Started P10, top 10 all race, but you got ran over.
Yeah, I got ran over at the some restart, I'm assuming. Long story short is this entire week has just been terrible. It's from last week, and I'm ready for next week.
Yeah, I didn't have a good Bristol myself, and so then Friday Open, Tony Rochette got a P5 actually. A cluster of a race, he said, dodged a few wrecks and was damaged from a few. Definitely had a top 3 car, but at one point in the rear of the field running faster laps than the leaders. Late race wall scrape kept me from being in contention. Best NIS finish till Saturday morning. So, and then Chris, you got one of your DQ outs that morning.
Yeah, one of many. But Tony did a great job that race. Just because he had minutes of damage, and it's not easy to get that stuff fixed at Bristol. And one of the big incidents that he had, was me just absolutely destroying the rear end of his car. We had a guy that lagged out under caution, and we were getting ready to get the green, and when he disappeared, when he dropped out, his car just like he stomped the gas pedal and just came flying up into the field and went straight into me and knocked me up into Tony. Yeah, he and that was kind of the story of Bristol for me. It was pretty rough after John Hammer told me Wednesday to take my 7th place finish and not go back to Bristol and call it a week, and I didn't listen, and maybe I should have.
Right. Yeah, Steve LouAllen, he got wrecked out of the top 5 as well.
Yeah, he was in that race. That's with us as well, and yeah, all 3 of us had good speed, and yeah, Stephen was, he was fast the whole race, and got took out just by some Bristol garbage.
All right, now Saturday fix morning, Tony Rochette again ran P3, so he had some good runs, P5, P3. He got caught up in a wreck early, had 5 minutes optional, was 4 laps down at one point, made it back to the lead lap, and best NIS finish ever, P3.
Yeah, once again with that damage, man, that's really impressive to me, because there was a couple races where I had a couple of minutes, and that is not easy to take care of when you're such a short track.
I just want to say about Tony too. I would say in the last 2 or 3 weeks, you see him running the opens and fixed races here. It's good to see him because he was only running fixed before he joined the team, and now he's running open races, and he's starting to get finishes that he wants, and it's good to see him doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. The next day, we already talked about Steve LouAllen's P1. He won his first NIS race there, so congrats out to him. He talked about that earlier. And then, Chris, you got P24, and Brent, P25.
Yeah, that was my best finish of the week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't remember much of that race. They kind of all ran together.
I never
All right.
ran again.
I
Well,
shouldn't have.
yeah, we shouldn't have, but both Chris and I ran Sunday fixed. I wrecked out P22. It was like 9 minutes damage. I let it repair. Eventually went back, just ran a few laps, ran it around, finished P22. But Chris, you got P31. Again, you were wrecked out early too.
Yeah, and then the one car as well. So yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, I just been hemorrhaging iRating all week.
Well, it's over. Now we're in the off week, and so what are we doing in the off week? We were running Delara Dash, Pickup Cup, that kind of stuff last night. Pretty fun, Brent. We had a couple of good races, and Chris, we ended up wrecking each other a couple times too.
Yeah, I got to see the whites of your eyes that race. You got in that pickup cup. Yeah, you got spun by somebody on the inside, and ended up backwards right in front of me.
Yeah, I'm like wrecked up in the front of the field. I get wrecked. You're in the back of the field, and somehow we meet.
Nose to nose.
That's gotta keep checking those off, Chris?
Yeah, that's one more teammate down.
I gotta get a checklist
Oh,
set
boy.
together for you. I'm not on that checklist, thank God.
Neither am I. You saying he's the one to avoid?
Yes. Yeah, you have
When
one
you're in
coming.
a Chris Sales scales split, just be careful.
Yeah, I'll find
I'm
the
gonna tell you
Rex.
what. I'm glad I'm always starting in front of him then.
Wreck magnet. All right, so that's it. Off week, we got Darlington and then Indy. Some people on our team have been doing the A Open, Indy, getting ready for NIS coming up, but I probably won't. But anything else you guys going to run this week?
Yeah, probably do some indie practice, and definitely gonna run the anniversary series. I haven't done that yet this week.
Right. All right, let's talk real quick. The World Championships. We got Peak ran at Texas Motor Speedway right before they start their playoffs. Ryan Michael Luza back to his dominant self with his 4th win in the Peak Series this year so far. So congrats to Ryan Michael Luza. I did miss the race. I didn't have a chance to see it, but heard it was okay. Ray Alfala leads the points over Keegan Leahy by 10 points. And Bobby Zielinski in 3rd. Ryan Michael Luza, our recent winner, in 4th. All right, let's see what's next. That's it. Let's jump to final thoughts. Brent McCoy.
Yeah, this past weekend has been extremely rough. I'm glad to see Bristol go. Darlington for me is probably not much better, but I'm looking forward to Indy. So that's going well. Also, if you guys got a second, as far as listeners, go ahead, check out our iRacers Lounge podcast or Facebook page. Hopefully we can start posting some more stuff out there. I know I've been working on some stuff and a couple other teammates have. So
Yeah, absolutely. We're all over the internet. Make sure to find us, guys. All right, Chris Scales, final thoughts.
Yeah, I forgot to mention some of my other racing this week. So since we have an off week, I'm gonna be racing all of the races with the Old Bastards Racing League this week. And last week at Bristol had a couple pretty good races. Then the Xfinity race, only made it the first 20 or 30 laps or so, and we had, I believe, one of the only cautions of the race. The races were incredibly clean for Bristol compared to NIS. I didn't know until later in the race when Steve Thompson told me about this, but I guess Bobby Hamilton Jr. was in that pile up with me. He was running with us
Bobby
there.
Hamilton Jr., man, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, he was. I guess he pops in every so often, and also Noah Grayson was in a practice with me for the truck race this week, and I guess he pops in quite a bit with them. But yeah, once I finish up this week, I'll have my 6 races in and get my official number and all that good stuff. And yeah, these guys have been awesome to race with. So yeah, if you're in that 3,500 iRated and below and 35 years and up, definitely check it out. I think Tony might be joining us soon, I hope.
Yeah, we've been talking about it a lot. We had the fellow on the podcast, and my interest is totally peaked. I'm just waiting for my real life schedule to kind of settle down a bit.
Yeah, I think you'd have a blast. We're a good group of guys and super clean racing. Yeah, that was another thing. I did get DQ'd out of the Cup race, but they have a 9x incident limit.
Whoa.
which is crazy when you think about it. But actually, I got DQ with 20 laps to go. That's how clean the race was. And actually, really, I wouldn't have been DQ'd if it wasn't for iRacing's stupid 4Xs, because I had two 4Xs, one from a couple of accidents, and neither one of them, both I had less than 20 seconds of damage. So to me, they shouldn't have been 4Xs, and then scraped the wall once to get DQ'd.
Noah Grayson in the practice. That's pretty cool, man. He's hot right now.
Yeah, and actually one of the guys in the league had a quicker time than him. And I'm spacing on his name right now, but he actually ended up winning that truck race. So, yeah, good on him.
Nice. All right, Gregory Hectus, final thoughts.
It's just it's been a really long week. I haven't done any racing at all this week. Obviously, it's an off week, so I'm pretty much an NIS guy. But I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get into the road series after the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I basically took a hiatus from iRacing for about 3 days and didn't really do anything. I'm hoping this week I'm gonna run as many road races as I can, especially the trucks and the Xfinity cars are both on road courses this week, which are my two favorite tracks to run on, and one's is a hometown track, so I really love that. And then I guess the other thing is I'm just gonna let everybody know you can always follow me. I'm always streaming whenever I'm racing, so you can follow me at twitch.tv/frozencactus. Frozen's with 2 O's, Cactus 2 K's. Like and subscribe to me. I'm always on. I also do the podcast now from my page, so you can watch what I do while the podcast is going on. And I'm just excited to get to Darlington, get the NIS series going, and I just want to say also thank you to Phil and Mike Moorley for a great 24 hours of teamwork that we tried to accomplish there, and I'm glad that we got a result out of it as well.
Yeah, great result for sure. Congratulations on that. All right, Tony Gross, final thoughts.
Well, we're sitting at about 2 weeks away from the kids going back to school, and I couldn't be more freaking grateful. I need my schedule to go back to normal. Haven't been doing a whole lot of racing, and I had to miss the podcast last week because I was on vacation and it was enjoyable, but I did listen to it. You guys did a fantastic job. I was thoroughly entertained. Other than that, I didn't do Bristol. Darlington, I'm looking forward to earning my stripe. I've never raced there, so that'll be interesting. I'm sure I'll be coming up with some colorful curse words throughout those races, but I'm looking forward to it anyways.
Oh, Darlington, you haven't run that? That's it. Yeah, the turns 1 and 2, boy, I tell you what, you have to drive it in there. It's harder than you think, right up against the wall, and it sticks because it is banked, and you can run within a foot of that wall all the way through 1 and 2, and that's really the only way to run that track. So you got to figure it out.
You got to figure the exit of 2 out. 2 is the critical exit.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I can jump on here before next week starts and get a bit of a head start on some practicing.
There's really no practice.
All right, cool. Yeah, my final thoughts, I'm ready to move on from Bristol. Took a lot of iRating hit there. But, I'm not letting the iRating hit, stop me from racing. And had a, couple decent, runs, but mostly got wrecked out. And so had a 6th and an 8th, but nothing in fixed. It was like fixed was a wreck fest, and open wasn't so bad for me. But I don't know what happened with fixed. But ready for Darlington, and Indy. And the playoffs in general. This is our last off week of the season, guys. So it's from here on out through the end of the year. So looking forward to it. I'm 24th in points, I believe, in NIS Open. So trying to break into the top 20 still. But it's not far off. I'm not too many points out. So also had a listener ask about getting the podcast on one of those fancy music streaming services. What is it called? Oh, Spotify. Yeah, so Spotify. So I did submit our podcast to Spotify via some kind of Google form they have. to see if we can get the podcast on there. So I don't see any reason why we can't, but I haven't heard back from them. So I don't know what the process is, but hopefully soon. But until then, check us out everywhere else.
Hey, Mike, before you go out there too, the other thing they got to do, if you want us on Spotify, if I remember correctly with Spotify, it needs to be requested by people to have it on Spotify. So if you guys want to hear us on Spotify, you got to request it too. So, you know, the more people that
maybe
want to
that's
listen
all
to it, they want to, you know, they'll add it when people want it.
Yeah, I did submit it. I don't know what their process is, but they're not a regular podcast service, but apparently you can get your podcast there. So we're trying. But obviously, the best way to get us is Apple, iTunes, or Google Play Store, or Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, or iRacersLounge.com.
Twitch, my Twitch.
Or yeah, the Frozen Cactus, that's the other one. And the other thing about YouTube is Will Gibson has been on hiatus because he changed jobs. Hopefully he'll be back soon, and he'll get that YouTube going again, I know it. So with that, we'll see you later.
User in your channel
Right,
stopped
clear.
recording.
Title idea.
I'm wondering if it should be something about the 24 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
Podium something. 24-hour podium.
That's what I was just thinking, a 24-hour podium.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, got it. That's it. Thanks, guys. Good show. We ran a little long, but that was
No race.
expected.
So. Anybody going to be racing anything?
Is anyone
I
gonna,
am.
what are you guys
Yeah,
gonna,
jump
what are
later
you,
on,
what are you
fix
gonna
the
race?
open.
You're gonna do A?
No, yeah, I did A fixed right now, practicing.
Alright, I'm out for the podcast.
Cool. I'm going to
Take
hop
care,
off here
everybody.
for a few
Have a good
minutes,
one.
and yeah, I'll be back. Find something to get into.